If you thought the conflict with Iran was cooling down, think again. Just hours after President Donald Trump said the United States had halted strikes on Iran, the Middle East was hit with another dramatic escalation. According to U.S. Central Command, American forces intercepted what officials described as a surprise Iranian ballistic missile attack targeting U.S. troops in the region. Then, almost immediately, another major development unfolded. U.S. and Saudi forces launched coordinated strikes against Iran-backed militants inside Iraq. So here's the question everyone is asking tonight. Are we looking at a brief flare-up, or the beginning of a much bigger regional conflict? Stay with us, because the next few minutes could completely change how you see what's happening in the Middle East. The latest chain of events moved incredibly fast. U.S. Central Command says Iran attempted to launch a surprise ballistic missile attack against American forces stationed in the Middle East. U.S. missile defense systems intercepted the incoming missiles before they reached their targets, preventing what could have been a deadly strike. The incident immediately raised alarms across Washington and financial markets, with oil prices climbing as investors reacted to fears that the conflict could spread further across the region. While officials have not publicly released the full extent of the attack, the message from Tehran appears clear. It is still willing to challenge U.S. military forces despite recent calls for de-escalation. But the story didn't stop there. In a separate operation, the United States and Saudi Arabia carried out joint military strikes against what Central Command described as Iran-aligned terrorist groups operating inside Iraq. That detail is significant because Saudi Arabia has spent years trying to avoid being pulled directly into a military confrontation with Iran. Riyadh has recently focused on rebuilding diplomatic ties and reducing tensions across the Gulf. That's why its participation alongside American forces is being viewed by many analysts as one of the most important strategic developments in this latest crisis. It signals that regional allies may now be coordinating more closely as concerns over Iranian-backed groups continue to grow. At the same time, diplomacy has been moving just as quickly as military operations. Earlier in the day, President Trump welcomed Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu to the White House for high-level talks focused on Iran and regional security. After the meeting, Netanyahu described the conversation as one of the best the two leaders have ever had, highlighting what he called close coordination between the United States and Israel. While neither leader revealed every detail discussed behind closed doors, the timing of the meeting, coming just before these military developments, has fueled intense speculation about how closely Washington and its allies are aligning their next steps. So what does all of this actually mean? Right now, the biggest concern is that every new military action increases the risk of retaliation, creating a cycle that becomes harder to control. Iran still maintains influence through allied groups across Iraq, Syria, Lebanon, and Yemen, giving it multiple ways to respond without launching direct attacks from its own territory. At the same time, the United States has made it clear that any threat to American forces will receive an immediate response. That combination creates an extremely tense environment where a single miscalculation could trigger a much wider regional crisis. For now, the situation remains highly fluid. Military commanders are monitoring for additional threats, diplomats are working behind the scenes, and the world is watching every new development. The next 24 to 48 hours could determine whether this latest exchange remains a limited confrontation or becomes something far more dangerous. We'll continue tracking every major update as they happen, so if you want clear, fact-based coverage without the noise, make sure you're following along because this story is moving fast, and the next headline could arrive at any moment.